So basically you need some channeling a little bit longer than the cup that you're going to be sitting it into. Then you need to give it an iron to add some curve to it. So I'll put that there. I'll take that. This isn't really an ironing board, but it'll give you some idea. You've got to iron it and give it a bit of a curve. So like that, it's going to, sorry, I'll do it this way. Iron it and give it a bit of a curve so it's going to lie in the cup properly. So if I keep doing it, don't know if you can see, I think I need a higher temperature, to be honest. We're going to turn it as we're going, we're kind of pressing it into a curve like that. Do it again. I think I'm melting my thing. There, that's better. There you go. You can make a mark. My pen is a bit silly because it disappears very quickly, but you make a mark about an inch down on here on the side cup, and then you make a mark about, I would say about 3/4 of an inch there, and you're going to sew no higher than that and no higher than that mark that you've just done there. Now it doesn't show very well. I'll do it with a different marker. This is a biro. So you're not going to go any higher than that, which is on your side seam, and you're not going to go any higher than that on your front, where your bow is going to be sitting. So then you sew that to the seam, to the inside, starting, I would start, it's on the inside seam all the way around, but don't start above that mark that you just made. This channeling has two ways, two sides. One is it's a ridge side, and the other side is a soft side, and that's the side that's going to go next to your skin. So that's the side you should have facing upwards. So I'm going to start about there. This is the side seam, don't forget. So basically I start about there and start sewing. Oops. I'll reverse. You have to stay close to the edge, and you have to make sure you're not catching anything underneath. If you go too far in, then you won't get your underwire in. So you need to stay fairly close to the edge. Is there. And off we go. There we go. So that's one piece of channel in there. Eventually that will be sewn down at the other end, so I've basically stitched along there, and I'm going to do the same with this side. Put the channeling in that side the same way. And so now I've got both the sets of channeling in. They're both on the sewn from the inside, and I've left some space at the top. I haven't sewn the bit at the top there or there, and the same there. I've left the space as they have recommended. Right, next. Is that your new box? She can't hear. It's a new boot box that before I even got the boots out, she was into it. Weren't you? You were in that box before I even got the boots out. You little rascal. Yeah. So this is the bra so far. We've got the side panels in, we've got the bottom band in, we've got the straps fixed on but nothing at the end of them yet, and we've just done, if I turn it over and show you the other reverse side, reverse side is that we've got the underwire channeling in on the bra here. Okay, and we've left enough here, left the gap like I told you to, there and there. I've actually made that one a bit higher than that one, and then this one left it from about an inch from the end, and the same on this side. That's probably a bit higher, so I probably need to drop that down a bit further, and I need to drop that one down a bit further. Right, apologies because I've got a cat that's just about to pace all over the pattern. Off there, Missy. And the trouble is she's deaf, so she doesn't understand when you're telling her to get off the table. Right, the next one is measure along the bottom. Sorry, it's night time in England. It is now 10 to 5. It's bright, it's pitch black, as you can see. Pitch black out there. See if I can do it. Focus in, pitch black outside. That reflection is from the other room. We've got a window that goes in the other room, and it's pitch black there, so excuse the darkness and the shadows. Measure, this next bit is measure along the bottom edge of the bra. Cut either 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch elastic depending on your size, the same length as the band. Mark the band as shown so you can pull the elastic under the cup area. So basically what we've got is, let me focus in, probably best to focus out. We've got to have it so that the elastic stretches along there, more or less neatly all the way around there, then stretch in that bit and then make it fit neatly around there. And the reason for stretching that is so that it pulls it into that part under your boobs. If you have a badly fitting bra, often there's a hollow there and you could almost stick a finger up underneath it. Now it says put the elastic on the right side of the band, the fuzzy side of the elastic facing up and the picots facing into the body of the bra. Using a small zigzag, width 2.5 and length 2, stitch over the picot edge, making sure you stitch close to the picot. You should be pulling the elastic ever so slightly as you sew up the bottom of the cup. When you do, the area under the cup marked A will pull it in about 1/2 inch. Now that's what I just said. You'll need to keep the elastic away from the cup seam by the width of the elastic. When you come to the centre bridge curve marked B, you should clip the curve. So when you come to that bit there, you should clip the curve, not the elastic, and make the fabric lay straight when you're sewing. This will make the elastic curve. So basically what it's saying is do the stitch like that, a picot, a stitch where your zigzag is above and your picot is below. Now the elastic that I got with this is the same as this one here, I believe, as on the blue bra. And right, the elastic that I got on the blue bra is a thicker elastic, obviously appropriate to the size of your bra that you want. You could get a narrow one, but this one is a wider one for the bottom of the bra and a narrower one for the armholes, for the armhole elastic. That's what they supply you with. So we're going to put this here, fuzzy side up, the soft velvety side up, and we're going to have it so that it's close to this bottom edge. And at first we're going to do a small zigzag stitch all the way along, a normal zigzag size 2. Then once we've gone right the way along, and don't forget when we get to about there, we're going to stretch that to about there, and then we're going to go back and carry on along here to the end with it all the way with a little zigzag. Then once we've got that, we're going to turn it over like that, and then we do the running zigzag with a few, where it's a zigzag with a few stitches to it. So that will be what we would do after that. What is this cat doing? Oi! Off my wallpaper. Do you know what she's doing? she can see me. I've got a light here, and when I do anything it reflects onto the wall. Let me see if I can show you. It reflects onto the wall. I don't know if she's not going to notice it, is she? There, in fact, there. There's a little shadow on the wall there, you see? And she is chasing the shadows. She's sitting on top of my keyboard, and sometimes when we come in, the demo is blasting away if I've forgotten to switch it off, and then she plays on the drums, because there's a drum kit over there as well. There's, don't you, you naughty girl? Yes, you are. I'm going to set this to zigzag, that one's there, and then up here I'm going to make the zigzag 2 to 2.5. No, it's going the wrong way, sorry. 2 to 2.5, we'll make it 2. Ignore the black because that doesn't apply. So I'm going to have that set at 2 rather. Right, then I get right sides up, starting at the power bar, furry side facing, and I'm going to start right on the edge. I'm not going to do any backwards and forward stitch, and you're not pulling this elastic to start with. You're not pulling the elastic to start with. Now excuse the cat because she thinks it's 4:30 and dinner time, and it's not. She's got 15 minutes to wait. So, oops, I think we need 2.5. I think that's going to be 2.5. 2 is going to be a little bit too narrow. So 2.5, and we're going to just pull it along gently, just going close to the edge. Now then, till I get probably, I don't know if you can see there, this is the first cup there, and that's the seam. So I'm probably going to start pulling it from there, from this first. I'm going to start pulling it from the actual center of the cup there, that center cup there. I'm going to pull it from there. So I'll go smooth till I get to there, till I get to that point. Keep not pulling the elastic at all, but just keeping close to the edge. Now I'm going to come there. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to match this elastic to the opposite end. Match it to the opposite end, more or less. Now bearing in mind I gave it an extra 1/2 inch. I'm going to leave it there, leave that hang over there, and lay it close to there, so not stretching it all the way along the other edge. Keep going there right until I come to where the center seam is there, and put my thumb on there. Right, now that leaves me with a gap here, and so from here, and what I'm going to do is hold the back of the fabric back. I'll turn this around so you can see. My hand is going to hold the back here, and I'm going to just stretch it carefully, just pull it gently, always making certain that this fabric underneath is going to be taken in. So I'm pulling it gently, and I'm going to do that bit. If needs be, just do a little bit at a time, make sure it's all lined properly again, pull it, and then continue. I'm holding it at the back to keep it stretching, and then do it again, hold it at the back, stretch it, do it again, hold it at the back and stretch it. Just make sure your fabric underneath is going to be taken in. Now can you see what's happening here? This is curling out, so when I sew it, I've got to pull it again and stretch it. Do the same again, pull and stretch. And then from there, I'm going to go straight. well, not straight, I'm still going straight, we're going straight all the way along, but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to stretch it now from here, because I've got to exactly more or less where that seam is, and I'm just going to go and keep the elastic flat against the fabric. For those of you who are interested, my husband plays in a rock band. I'll have to tell you the story about that, but his band, he's got a singer who's 34, he's got a keyboard player who's 23, and a bass guitarist who's 55, and he is 67, just turned 67, and he's lead guitarist, and he loves it. He thinks it's great. Got a cat here, so we've got to share the table with the cat. It's not dinner time yet, Missy. It's not dinner time, right? So now we've done that, and what we've done is we've stretched it between those two darts there. We've stretched it between those two darts, so that just is going to pull it in a bit there. Now the next thing that we do is we turn it this way on, and then we do a zigzag stitch. Now let's see what right, so we now turn it the right way, so this is the right way, and this is where we're going to do that elastic zigzag stitch, and it tells you to do turn the elastic to the inside and stitch the opposite unsewn edge of the elastic with a 3-step zigzag. Make sure the elastic will fit under the channeling, which is partly sewn on. If not, you may trim the elastic slightly to make it. The bottom of the band is now finished and the inside of the bra is shown. Right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to, as we sew this, going to start at this edge and do that zigzag stitch. We're going to zigzag along there, and we're going to make sure that it's pulled flat. Now she hasn't said iron it. She doesn't tell you to press anything very often. You could press this part if you wanted to, but what she was saying about the channeling is you've got to make sure when you press it, when you turn it up, if you have a very low band here, that fortunately the Shelley Bra gives you quite a wide band, which is quite good to start with, because there may be situations where you have a narrow band between your cup and the other one, and you may catch that in by mistake like that. And what she's saying is don't catch it into the channeling. If needs be, cut that. But this particular bra, we don't have any worries like that because there's such a wide gap there. So what we're going to do is we turn this over. You can see the little zigzag stitches on there. We then turn it over, and as I said, we start at one end and doing this 3-step zigzag. So I'm going to trim these bits of strands of thread off first, get rid of any stray threads that could get in the way, and then there's some over here and there, get rid of those. And then the 3-step zigzag. Now remember, the 3-step zigzag at the start, it said, what did she say? Right, 3-step zigzag at 4 to 5 setting wide and a length of 1.2 to 2. So 4 to 5 setting wide and length of 1.2 to 2. So we then go here and we pick, now this is where people who don't have this stitch may have a problem, but the zigzag stitch is this one, number 8, and it's a width of 4 to 5 setting wide, so 4.4 to 4.5, so I think I'll take that down to 4.5, and it was 1 to 2, no sorry, And this button here is for the zigzag, this button is for the straight stitch, and they recommend that the straight stitch is anywhere between 1.2 to 2, so I've gone to 1.4. Right, so we have our fabric here. I'm going to try and have to do this through here. Sorry about, you see that big knobble there on my finger? It's not arthritis. That is with, let's tell you a little story. When I first took over from I ended up being divorced, and I was teaching at the time. I was teaching in a college, and I was teaching biology as well as had just finished a dressmaking course, and the lecturers asked me if I would also lecture some dressmaking to some how would you call them, low ability children. And so I said yes, I'd do that. And then I was enjoying doing that, but it was only for about 12 hours a week that I was doing all these lectures. And because I was divorced, I needed to make some money to raise my kids. So my father, who had a business, said he was retiring and did I want to take it over. And so I took over his business, and in the hours that I wasn't lecturing, I was running his business, and I used to have to do a hand engraving machine. We used to do hand engraving, which is different from the machine engraving, because it's all computerized now. You stick a message in, it engraves it. But in those days, you had to. It was like a pantograph, and you had to do that. You held a button here, and you held another button with your other hand. See if I can do it like this. You held it basically. Using screwdrivers, you basically had one hand there and one hand here, and this hand went into the letters, and this thing went round and engraved. So the right hand did the letters, and the left hand engraved onto the object. But withholding the nib, withholding the button all the time that you used, because it was manual, I've ended up with a lovely bump up there. See that? It doesn't hurt. It's not arthritis or anything, but it doesn't look very pretty. And the other thing that I've got, I don't know if you've noticed, apart from wrinkly hands with old age, is these fingers. Because of that, those two fingers turned sideways because they constantly held the knob on the engraving machine. I'm not sure if this one does the same. No, that's not as bad. It was the way that you held the knob. I actually held the knob like that, so you held the knob kind of with your fingers twisted, and because they're twisted, you ended up with a finger like that. So apart from the wrinkles, which unfortunately, even if you're a youngie who's watching this, you will get your wrinkles, my dears. You will get them. You will, and you'll look back and think, oh golly, where's the time gone? Anyway, I digress, as I always do. I always tend to stray a bit, so I must apologise. Now, as I'm sewing here, I'm going to pull this apart. I'm not going to stretch it, but I'm just going to hold it apart so that I'm not getting any folds like that into the fabric. I just wanted to stretch like that, just to stay quite flat. So I'm holding the two together, and I'm going to do this stitch. So it's better to start a little bit in the fabric, bring your needle down, and then you can. Now, can you see I'm not actually getting onto the edge of the elastic there. What I'm trying to do is if I use this to show you, I'm trying to get my zigzag to come down there and just pick up a little bit there and then go back up, pick up a little bit there and go back up, pick up a little bit there, so that it's getting a stitch or two on this side and then going back up. So would you excuse me, ladies? I have a cat that seems to have done something because there's an awful smell. So I'm going to clean it out. She hasn't done it on the floor, she's done it in the tray. But oh god, that's awful. And this was a suggestion from someone who in the supermarket told me that instead of getting cat and dog poo bags, get baby ones, because they smell lovely and they cost cheaper than the cat and dog poo bags, and they serve just the same purpose. So this is a lovely purple one, and as I open it, it's got the most beautiful. Do you want to smell it? Can you smell it? Isn't that gorgeous? Smell it again. That takes away that horrible smell that you can smell further across the room. Right. Trouble's jumping around the table again. So we carry on, holding the fabric and keeping it apart. Oh, do you see what's happened? Can you see? I don't know if you can see that. What's happened is there's been a little weakness in the thread, and that weakness has caused it to pull. I don't know if you can see that. The little weakness in the thread has caused it to pull. So I'm now in a position where I'm going to have to stop and get this rethreaded. So I think we can do it without having to take the fabric out. So I just need a pair of scissors. So excuse me ladies while I rethread this. Now we've got it. Now I'm going to put the needle back in and then push that in the back of there. Right, fingers crossed it should be okay. And I've just realised something else, because in between my last video of sewing, I actually have been making something else, and I've just realised I don't have a tricot needle, a jersey or a stretch needle in here. I've just got a standard needle, so if this doesn't turn out very well, I can understand why. Oh, that's alright. Let's keep going. Now this is where this fabric is, don't forget you've added a bit of elastic stretch here, so you've got to make sure that you can, I'm going to hold that at the back just to get that to come through a bit there. That's it, because it's gone over a seam which is quite awkward. Can you hear the noise it makes? It makes a different noise when it goes over this fabric, because it's the way that it's made. It's a difficult material to stitch, I think. Sounds like a railway. The best thing for this is, especially when you're learning, is to do it slowly. Do it slowly and you can and sometimes I've got a machine at work that sings like that makes noise, and we've also got a doorbell, and every time the machine goes it reminds me of a song, and I start singing. Doodle-doo, 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 doo-doo, 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 doodle-doo, 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 doo-doo, 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 doodle-doo, 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 doo-doo, 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 doodle-dum. Now it might stop making that noise, so if it does I better stop singing. Now this is going to be hard, so just pull it over gently. Don't yank it, just pull it gently, so you're helping the needle to get over that stiff part, that thicker part. And then we'll carry on here. Doodle-doo, 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 doo-doo, 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 doodle-doo, 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 do-do, 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 bum bum. You know you can undo. Uh-oh, something's gone wrong there. I can hear it. So, oh, that's not sounding very healthy at all. So I'm going to, rather than carry on, I'm going to lift that out, and I think it's catching underneath. Something is going wrong here now. You see, even the most experienced people can have problems. Now the best thing to do here, there's something caught, obviously. I don't know what's happened there. Ah, there. The thread had doubled up, so it's fortunate that it's towards the end. So I'm going to take that off. You see what it's done? It's done this bit here. What somebody once lately described as a spider's web type thing, and it just doesn't look very becoming. So I've cut it off, pulling it as best I can to clear most of the oops, that's the top needle. Right, and since we're close to the edge, we'll carry on and finish it off. See, we've only got about an inch to do, so we're all right. Get that thread to the back. Now I don't know if I'm the only one, but I got this machine, I bought this machine new. I think it was probably just towards the end of last year. And every time I thread it up, it all goes static. The thread, I can't remember ever my other machine, the thread going static. But for some reason this one does. There you go. So now that's a bit of a messy end, I think, because of what you heard happen with the needle, but I'll just cut those threads off. Right, that's what it's gone like there. That was where it went wrong, where the bottom spool went wrong. It's actually not perfect. I'm not happy with it, but it's going to have to do. And that's the bit of the mess at the back. It was obviously something was caught, so we'll trim those threads that are there. I could unpick it all if I wanted to, but to be honest, it's at the end, so I don't think it'll make any difference. It still stretches. And so there you go. That's all of your bottom band put on like that. So that's the bottom band done. So let's have a look at it from a distance to get an idea of what it looks like. So this is now the bottom band fitted onto here, onto the bra like this, all the way along, and there. That end bit, that's the bit that I had the problem with, but it's not too bad, not too bad at all. So the next step is, now the next one is the top elastic, which is this. We're going to do the same procedure, but what she says is stretch it, give yourself shorten it by an inch here, so you've got a bit of stretch. So the same thing, it gathers under your arm to stop gaping. So when we stretch it, when we fit it, we're going to have it fitting nicely there, then stretch it where it's going to be an inch shorter, stretch it to there, and then carry on up there, up the outside arm with it all lying straight on the edge.